The 17-year-old who made national news for creating a Virgin Voters campaign during the presidential election is at it again. We'll go live to his high school where he's hoping to build up interest in another big race. It's 33 and a half minutes after the hour. Good morning, Miami, where it's partly cloudy and 81 degrees. Look at that beautiful sky, though. Later on today, thunderstorms. The high will remain 81. That's the interesting thing about Florida this time of year. The high and the low are usually within about a degree or two of each other. We first introduced you to Noah Gray in the fall when he made it his mission to talk to young people about voting in the presidential election. At just 16 years of age, Noah focused on first-time or virgin voters. Now, at the ripe old age of 17, he's at it again with his eye on another big race. He caught up with Florida Governor Charlie Crist on Friday. Joins us now from his classroom at Palmetto Senior High School in Pinecrest, Florida via Skype. Now, it's great to see you this morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to see you again, John. Thanks for having me on.
So listen, you put together a little piece of your visit with Governor Crist at the middle school there at Palmetto. So why don't we take a listen to that and look at that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the issues.
Sounds great.
I caught up with Florida Governor Charlie Crist last week when he visited a local middle school and asked him,
what could you do in the U.S. Senate to help Florida?
Well, hopefully continue to get good funding like we've gotten. We got a stimulus package that we just found out about earlier this week that brings over $2.7 billion to Florida.
And then I spoke with some young people to see what they thought about Charlie Crist.
I don't know that much about him. But
I think he's been a pretty good governor.
I felt like he was like any other politician.
I think he's Republican. I'm not sure.
I've heard of him. I don't really know too much about him.
He ran as a Republican governor in Florida and in a state that just went Democratic. I really don't think he's going to win. I mean, for me, I think it would be a big, important role to make sure that a lot of the policies that Obama wants to press are going to be reviewed by a Republican senator, and that he goes back to his conservative ideals that he seems to have forgotten a bit as governor.
Do you think that he's the face of the future Republican Party?
Well, I mean, what is the face of the Republican Party these days? I mean, they're trying to like revamp what they're doing, and I don't think he'd be the right person to choose.
All right, Noah, well, you got a bunch of different opinions there. Some people knew about him. Some people didn't really know him at all. Some people seemed interested and some didn't. What does that say about young voters? Is it too early to get engaged in a Senate campaign that's not going to happen until 2010, or do they just not care?
Well, you know, John, that's an interesting question. I think it might be too early right now. It reminds me back in 2007 when I first started speaking with young voters before the presidential primaries. They didn't seem to either know or care what was going on until it started getting further down the road. So I'm hoping that as we get closer to the midterm elections, us young people are going to start to care a little bit more and start to gather that information.
You know, one of the things that Governor Crist told you about was the stimulus package and how he thinks it's a good thing, bring some money into Florida. He supported the president's stimulus package, which certainly didn't win favor among conservatives there in Florida. In fact, when it comes to the Senate race in the primary, they'd like to run a fellow named Marco Rubio, former state House Speaker, against him. What are young people feeling about that? Do they think that he's conservative enough? Are they upset that he supported the president's stimulus package?
Well, some young conservatives are saying, well, he does support this. He did appear on stage with the president. I don't think that's going to help him is what they're saying. A lot of other young people are saying, hey, I think he might be a good new face, a young face of the Republican Party. The good-looking politician can speak very well, sounds very appealing to a lot of young people. But there's also those very staunch conservatives that are saying, you know, he's not conservative enough for me. And they might choose Marco Rubio as opposed to
right.
Charlie Crist.
And what about in terms of issues, too? During the presidential campaign, when he was supporting John McCain, he talked a lot about offshore drilling, obviously talked a lot about the economy. But when it comes down to the state level, when you're running a Senate race, what are the issues that are really important to folks there in Florida?
Well, speaking to the young people down here, the number one issue I'd say is education, especially since we're experiencing tremendous budget cuts, and as students, we're really facing some very significant budget cuts, and also taxes. But it's a delicate issue because some people are saying, well, I don't like taxes, that we shouldn't have taxes, but then again, how do we get more money for education since we don't have that federal income tax down here.
Yeah, I know that the fact that you don't have a state income tax is what draws a lot of people to Florida, but can create problems in and of itself. Noah Gray, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being with us, buddy.
Thank you very much, John. Take care.
Take care. You too.